Hey everyone, it's Karen, and on today's podcast, I have another book author, Elsie Mortimer. How
Hi.
welcome. Thank you again for joining me and everyone today. So, how are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. I am doing really well. What about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Of course.
Good.
I was excited. I saw that all your books that you've published and stuff, and previously with years I've been following you because I think I started following you a little bit last year, and then I
Okay.
really started kind of getting more into the scene of doing podcasts. I'm like, you know what? I want to start bringing everybody like I like that I would want to shine the spotlight on. So I
Love
chose
that.
you today. So, all right, I have some questions for you. Let's get started.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. So my first question is, how do you find the time to write?
Okay, so I love this question because when I first started writing, I always thought there would be a moment where I was like, this is it. This is the perfect time to write, the perfect time to start a story. Like I thought there would just be like something that happened and I was like, now it's go time.
Hmm.
But for me, the reality is I've had to create that time. And I think for a lot of writers, we are always busy. We have cats, and a lot of people have day jobs or kids or a spouse, all these different things that take us away from writing. So we really have to prioritize that and like find those moments. So,
Hmm.
like when my kids were little, I would do you're going down for a nap, I'm gonna write. Like I would balance it that way. And now now it's a lot of evenings. I'll wind down my day with some writing, or a lot of times I will start my day with writing just to kind of have that creative release.
Nice. I like that. Yeah. It really, like you said, it really all depends on your schedule of your life,
Yeah.
of what you have and stuff. So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So going on to the next question I have
Okay.
is, what is the best time of day for you to write? I mean, you kind of, I guess, already highlighted that, but do you want to highlight it a little bit
Sure.
more?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is so goofy, but on the weekends, like I love taking like a whole day and being like, I'm gonna write today. Like this is my writing day. And I like doing like little bursts of writing. So like write for an hour or two, have a coffee break, write for an hour or two, have another coffee break. For me, that's really fun. So I don't have a favorite time of day. Um, I'm I feel like I'm kind of obsessive about writing. So if it was up to me, like that's all I would do.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have a specific time of day. I know that you read a lot. Do you have like a specific time where you're like, this is prime reading time here?
For me, like I was like you, I always try to spend like when I was younger and stuff in high school and college and stuff when I really
Mhm.
like got into writing more, I would do every Sunday. Make that my priority. Like you said, just take the whole
Love it.
day and just write something.
Yeah.
So I would also, I take some breaks between that because I also do art as well. So I would like go between writing and drawing or painting for the day or just something because I'm a creative person. I love
Right.
creating everything. So, but yeah, for me, like I said, probably Sunday. But now since I have a full-time job and I'm
Yeah.
an online student taking one course. It's a 16-week course put into 8 weeks. I'm
Oh,
doing that.
wow.
I'm doing so I'm doing that for the next 2 to 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
And then I think this fall I start doing two classes for
Okay.
8 weeks. So, because I'm really trying to get to, I want to graduate. I had a
Yeah.
little life bump and didn't get to go to college like I wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm here now, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to cram it a little bit. But if I have to spread it out, then I'll have to spread it out and go into 3 years. But
Yeah.
I'm aiming for 2 years.
Well, that's cool.
So yes, but I kind of write just when I have inspiration now at this point.
Okay.
So when I'm at work, like if I go outside, I walk in the governor's garden a lot.
Oh, cool.
So there's flowers and butterflies and stuff, and I just think of stuff about like for
Yeah.
my writing class, I had to write some type of story. So I put me as the character
Cool.
and then I made me kind of like as a Disney princess in the
Ooh,
garden. So
okay.
I took care of a mom bird, and then she wound up getting pregnant, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, what do I do?" And then I helped. Long story short, she died. The baby bird was like, "Where's mom?" I
Yeah.
felt bad, turn into the princess I am and take care of her, and then all the wilderness around her. So yeah, that's kind
Wow.
of where I find my inspiration
I love
outside.
that.
So
That's cool. I love being outside. Like you said, like that's such a good way to like feel
yeah.
inspired and just be like, oh, I could write about this, or I feel, joyful or happy or whatever the feeling is that you're trying to capture. So that's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I love that.
All right. So next question is, how do you know what to write?
Okay, so that's, I know that we had talked about these questions, and that's such a hard one, but I love that
Mhm.
question. How do you know what to write? Because I feel like as a writer, we have this unique ability where we can literally write about anything.
Right.
So it really is like narrowing down those options. So I think for me, I often try to just think, what's one thing in all of these different ideas that I want to focus on today?
Mhm.
For me, that tends to work pretty well because I'm definitely like, oh, I could write a zombie book. I could write about vampires. I could write about monsters. I could write about people who fall in love. Like, I have all of these options. So I try to just pick whatever I'm vibing with the most at
Yeah.
that moment. And that works pretty well for me. Is that how you are too, as an artist?
Yeah, that's how I am for art and writing too.
Okay.
So like I kind of based off of like whatever my mood is. Like I
Hmm.
normally do a lot of music paintings anyway. So
Cool.
like Kurt Cobain, Bob Marley, kind of like just their silhouette or not silhouette, their stencil of their face with like some type
Okay.
of background. So like if I'm in the mood, because like I said, music is like a really big part of my life and who I am. It helps me a lot, probably more than I would say writing. I mean, writing's right underneath music, but in art, um, but yeah, I base it off of how I'm feeling and what music I listen to. And I'm like, oh, okay, so like lately I've been trying to paint. I'm trying to think of his name. I can't remember his name off the top of my
Okay.
head, but like I've been feeling his type of like groovy music and stuff because that's the type of music he would play. Jimi Hendrix,
Oh,
that's who
cool.
it was. And his type of vibe. So I've been trying to get towards him a little bit, but yeah,
I
it's
like
based
that.
off of like you said, the mood a lot. So
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that.
all right. So next question I have is what is the most difficult part? No, I already asked that. Yeah, the most difficult part of no. What is the most difficult part of writing a book?
For me, it's always the endings. I
Hmm.
find it really easy to get started with a book. Again, artist, creative,
Yeah.
lots of ideas. It's really, really easy for me to start projects. For me, I tend to really fall in love with my characters and I feel very passionately about them. And I just enjoy the time that I spend crafting their stories. So
Hmm.
for me, endings have always been a challenge because I don't want to say goodbye. I don't want the story to end. And I
Hmm.
also want to make sure that the ending is solid to the point where it's like honoring the journey the characters took.
Hmm.
I feel like there can be an inclination for many writers to just end the story, and I've definitely done that before, but I'm very aware of I'm going on this incredible journey along with these people, whether they are, surviving the zombie apocalypse or having a space adventure, whatever the situation is. I want people to finish the story and be like, okay, the ending was, it was so great. I loved it. Because I love that as a reader. I could, when there's like a really good ending that I can't stop thinking about, like that's just
Hmm.
gold to me.
Yeah, I'm the same way when I am writing. It's always
Yeah.
hard for me to close
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's not the saying goodbye to me. It's just like I want it to continue. Like there's
Yeah.
always more. There's more. Like that's when I started realizing that I am probably going to wind up writing series now
Yeah.
instead of just short stories because
Mhm.
I like short stories because they're quick and easy.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like I said, it's the fact that I just feel like there's more that that character could say, or that character could do to this character, or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
what happens if they fall in love instead of these two, like they're supposed to, or whatever? Like,
absolutely.
it's so many things that you can't have an ending, I feel like, for me, anyways.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Oh, go ahead. No.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's a really good point about being able to write a series then, because you can live with them for a little bit longer.
Yes. All right. So let's go to the next question
Okay.
is, did you self-publish or go traditional publishing route, and why?
So I have actually done both routes of publishing. I'm a hybrid author, so I've done some
Oh.
publishing with a company and then some on my own. I prefer independent publishing because there's more control over your covers. You can control how often you publish. If I have a book and I'm like, I think it's really great, but it's not quite meeting my target audience, I can readjust the blurb, I can change the
Mhm.
cover, I can do all of those things. So I love that. I also love being so intimately connected with my readers. I feel like as an independent author, I have a lot of connection to my readers and I can take their feedback like very personally and adjust my writing style to meet what they want.
Yeah.
But that said, publishers are fantastic. I have a couple of short stories that are published with Outland Entertainment here in Kansas City. And then I've also worked with a couple of small presses on other books. And
Mhm.
those are nice for authors who maybe want a little more support or a little more guidance as they are launching that publishing journey. Publishers are great about helping you get the artwork for your cover and things like that in the editing process. So that can be really nice too.
Yeah. I like how you brought that up because, like, for me, I originally, when I was a teenager, you want everything just done for you. You're like, I don't
Yeah.
want, I want to write the story and then everybody else do it for me. Like,
Yeah.
but then growing up, I actually found out they don't do everything for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there is a lot that they don't do that you have to do. So then I
Yeah.
found out that since I'm an artist, it would be easy for me to design my own books, draw, like all that. I'm like, oh, I can just use my artistic ability, my writing ability, and
Love
just use
that.
all this, and there it is.
Yeah.
But it's just my part is I cannot edit worth anything. I cannot edit my stuff
Valid.
at all. So having to find an editor is pretty much where I'm stuck at this point.
Okay.
So that's what I'm just waiting on. Once I find someone I think I can trust and the deal with, then I'm ready to go because I have several books I already did like since I was in high school and stuff.
Wait, that's
So
cool.
I'm excited, but
I love that.
thank
That's
you.
awesome. Wait, so how many books do you have like ready?
I would say for sure 2 to 3.
Okay,
So,
cool.
but they're not actually, so like two of them's probably, one of them's probably more of a poetry book instead
Okay.
of a story. Like, so it's just multiple poems that I came up with
Yeah.
about nature scenes and stuff I go into. And then I was going to add like my own photos and stuff of the scene, like on the pages and stuff. I'm like, that's perfect.
Cool.
My own photographer, my own drawer, my own everything. Just can't
Yeah.
edit my stuff because
I love that.
everything's perfect for me, I think, but I know it's
Yeah. That's
so.
okay. I feel like getting feedback from other people is always really, really helpful. I'm not always.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's not helpful, but typically like it can be so helpful. Like you said, like a lot of times our stories are perfect to us and we're like,
yeah,
we wrote this, it's a masterpiece, like it's so great. And then
yeah.
someone will be like, why did you use the same word 4 times in this paragraph? And we're like, no, it's
Right,
perfect.
right. Well, just leave
It's great. Yeah.
it. All right. So moving on to the next question I
Okay.
have is, what important advice would you give a first-time author?
So I think the most important advice for me, this is going to sound very counterintuitive, but don't overthink. I think a lot of authors, when they're first starting out, worry about getting everything right. So they worry about getting the book done. They worry about how they're going to publish. They worry about how they're going to market their book or build a fan base or all of these things. I would say just write the story that you want to write. and make it as good as you can and then worry about everything else.
Yeah.
Because I meet a lot of writers and a lot of people who want to get published. And the
Mhm.
biggest difference that I see between people who are like, their book stays in like the dream space versus the people who actually get it done
Yeah.
is that overthinking. And it's, I feel like it's way easier to be like, don't overthink than to actually do it because we all do that. Um, and for me, when I wrote my first book, it really took another author believing in me and being like, you can definitely do this. Like that gave me the courage to be like, wait a second, like maybe I actually can do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. Our first books are usually not perfect. Usually they have some room to improve. But every time you write something, it's going to get better and better. And my other piece of advice would be talk to other writers as much as you can, because writers tend to have really good ways to solve problems that we all encounter, like writer's block or a scene falling flat or characters that aren't quite coming to life. Other authors are a great resource for kind of boosting that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Talking to someone
Yeah.
else, like you said, authors, we all kind of think outside of a different box. Like I
Yeah.
feel like all writers think differently, all artists. Like,
Yeah.
and if you're, I just feel like if you don't have a creative mind, you just don't understand us. Like we can think of things better.
Yeah.
So, all right, next question
Okay.
is you actually brought up a little bit of your first book. I'm going to bounce off of my next question is
Yeah.
when did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
Okay. So I'm definitely one of those people that was like 5 years old and I was like, this is my path. This is my life journey.
Mhm.
I will write. That's what I'm going to do. So I always like wrote stories as a kid and a teenager, and I took creative writing classes and I wrote a blog and journaled and all of that stuff. But when I got to college, I realized that I actually could do it. Like I actually could make writing something that I could bring to life, but I didn't know how to get there. So it's kind of interesting. I started my journey in like freelance writing, and I did a lot of technical writing, and I wrote nonfiction books. And I met an author one day who asked me about publishing and what genre I wrote in. And I was like, I'm not creative enough to write fiction. I could never do that. And he looked at me like I was crazy or dumb. And he was like, why do you think that you can't write a fiction book? And for me, like that really like sparked it. Like I was like, oh, wait a second. Like I actually, maybe I can. And so I went home and I wrote my first horror novel. And not that day, it took me a little while.
Yeah.
Wrote my first book, and it was, it was just after that it was all history, but it was so fun to kind of have that dream for so long and then finally have it like all come to life. So I think I always really knew I wanted to write, but there was a difference between wanting it and believing that I could do it.
Right. I'm the same way.
Really?
I thought I just heard myself talking when you said,
Oh
"Oh,
my
I started
goodness.
writing in elementary school and then high school and then like I kind of like I actually got told so in kindergarten, I didn't really, you don't know what's going on in the world. You don't even know why you're
Yeah.
in school. So,
Hmm.
but then you realize like you're in school to learn something for a
Yeah.
career. And
Hmm.
then I found out that when I was in the library, I read a lot because I didn't have a lot of friends. I always stayed to myself. And so me and books were best friends, and me and paper were best friends, and pencil
Yeah.
drawing.
Yeah.
So, but I asked my kindergarten teacher, I said, can I write like this one day? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, and then I went to like the author's name. I said, can I write this? And she was like, she finally understood, can I be like a writer is what she was like.
Yeah.
Because again, you're kindergarten, you can't form a sentence or anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But she was like, she put her hand on my shoulder and she like kind of bent down and looked me in my eyes like and she said, that's why you're in school. to write. I was
Okay.
like, okay, so that's been with me ever since. And I just love writing because it really is. It's so easy for me. Like,
Yeah.
and I've been told that my whole life by all my teachers and professors. Like, they love my writing. I just can't stay. My biggest problem is first person, third person, first person,
Oh
third
yeah, it's
person.
definitely hard.
Because I write how I think, which is not right for a published book, but
Okay.
you know. So, but like they think the ideas and everything are just amazing. They're just, Karen, can you work on this? And my professor last semester, or my first 8 week course for summer was saying the same thing. Can we switch back and forth? And I'm like, dang it, I still haven't learned my lesson and I'm 28 and I'm
Oh,
in college. I'm trying, guys.
you know
So,
what? It's a journey. It's a journey.
yes, yes. All right, so let's move on to the next few
Okay, yeah.
questions. Next one is, what are your favorite books to read?
So I love reading, and I feel like the more we read, the better it helps us write. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that is just because when we are consciously reading to become better writers, we start dissecting scenes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I see how this author did this, or how they added tension here. So I love to read a variety of books. I read a lot of romance, I read a lot of horror. I love Darcy Coates' horror books. Those to me are really, really nice. They're almost like cozy horror, if that
Okay.
makes sense. Like they're not super gory. They're just there's a lot of tension there, and I love that as a reader. But yeah, I will pretty much read anything. But my all-time favorite book is The Lovely Bones. Um,
Yep.
I read that when I was 16, and it just absolutely blew my mind. I'd never read anything like it.
Mm.
And I was just like, this is a masterpiece. Like you can really write anything that you dream up. And so that's for me, that's my all-time favorite. Do you have a favorite book or a favorite genre that you've been reading lately?
So it's always hard for me to answer that
Yeah,
because
it's a mean
I
question. I know.
well, I base my reading, most of my reading,
Mm,
off of TV shows or movies that I really love because I want to
okay.
feel like I'm reading their manuscript. So, like,
Interesting. Okay.
The Stand. Obviously Stephen King, hands down, one of my favorites. Horror, like if you don't like Stephen King, there might be a little something wrong with you. And no, I'm joking. So, I just feel like Stephen King's the best, you know. But
Okay.
my opinion, whatever. So, but yeah, like I said, currently I'm reading like The Stand because they have a movie for it, and
Yeah.
then so I used to not really be okay with reading like the, I guess, dark romance type. So 50 Shades of
Okay.
Grey stuff. I
Yeah.
used to never be okay with that because of some personal things. And I finally have decided, like, you know what? I'm going to start. So I'm on book 2 now and I love it.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah. And that has a movie. So I've been able to kind of, because I like to also match like Harry Potter, obviously. I think that pretty much started my whole movie book love
Oh,
because, you know,
interesting. Okay.
in kindergarten, I kind of just did like the fantasy, like fairy books and like all the creature and animals being in, like, so pretty much, I guess fantasy would be mine, is what I
Yeah.
really like. But like as I got older, I still kind of do the movies and stuff. But
Hmm.
I'm kind of all over the place with
Okay.
really,
That's cool
like I said,
though.
it's hard for me to actually answer. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go to the next question. What is your favorite part of being a writer?
I love all of it. So I know that's like a non-answer. I love physically sitting down and writing. I love the process of figuring out like how I'm going to write something and how I'm going to make a scene come to life. I think that's super,
Mhm.
super cool. But I also love getting to talk to readers. And so I absolutely love the moments where I go to like a book event. I know you and I talked a little bit about Springfield. Like that was fun
Yeah.
to go to an event and have readers come up and ask questions and get to talk writing. I love
Yeah.
meeting other authors. But really it's just fun to ask myself, what if this happened? what if a vampire fell in love with a graduate student? What would
Okay.
happen? And get to write it. What about you? What's your favorite part of writing?
Yeah, I like that too. The what if thing. I never
Mhm.
even thought of it that way. The way I'm always thinking of it is so when I write books, I normally base it off, and this is how I do some of my artwork as well,
Uh-huh.
is the well, the artwork that I'm going to sell anyways, is I like to base it off of what I believe other people are going to like.
Okay.
So a lot of my stories are going to be kind of romance because I know a romance everybody pretty much loves. I mean, I
Yes.
don't, but
Okay.
I think it's gag. Whatever. I'm trying to read a Paris book right now, but I can't think of
Okay.
what is it? It's by Danielle Steele. Is she the one that has a
Mhm.
is she the romance person?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's her. Sorry, my computer gave me a notification about
Oh no,
something,
you're
so
good. No worries at all.
my battery's gonna die.
Oh
But so yeah, that's a little bit about what I like for writing
no.
for
Okay.
me. So, but
That's cool.
let me I think mine just froze. My video is off.
There we go.
But there we go. Sorry, technical issues.
All good.
Um, so I'm gonna wrap this up a little bit
Okay.
because we only have about 10 more minutes. So I just wanted to um, ask you first, would you like to do maybe a part two in person interview next time and just talk about your books? And then that way I can actually, you can have your books with you and stuff too. That way we can talk about every single book that you've wrote if you want.
I would love that. That would be amazing. I'd be
Okay,
honored.
awesome. Perfect. So thank you again for accepting part two and coming on to my
Thank
part
you.
one. Yes. And thank you for writing. Thank you
Aw,
for loving to write so that I can have an excuse to talk to you. But again, I know I said this again, but thank you for, and I appreciate your time, energy, and effort on everything. And thank you to the audience and everyone watching. I hope that you get to learn a lot about this author and read some of her books or future books if you don't like her current books, because I'm sure she'll come up with plenty of other things. So, again, thanks everybody and have a good rest of your day. Bye.
thank you so much.